So question 1, what made you choose my piece initially?
What I liked about your piece initially was that you had a very clear idea, and I think the idea itself is really fun. Like all these different characters in this girl's head. Some of them are sassy, some of them are, more serious. But I liked the kind of contrast between the characters, and I also was attracted by the fact that it was based on an album, and basically I haven't really done much musical theatre. I don't know if you class this as musical theatre, but we are singing and dancing, and it's kind of challenging for me. So I kind of, I wanted to try it, and I just knew from the visuals you provided in your presentation and from the script that it was going to be a kind of fun piece, and then that contrasted with the other piece I was doing. So I wanted two different types of pieces. Yeah.
Good.
Do you want me to elaborate more on that or no?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Question 2, what about my practice did you find good, helpful, or clear?
What I found helpful as a non-dancer, as a very new dancer, I found the way you taught the dances, like yelling out what we were doing at all times, and then when we recorded that was on the video. I found that really helpful because I could then practice the dances without looking at the video. And it was quite clear, and I can just tell from the way you do that you've taught that in that way before. I also really like that you've made yourself very available with like questions and always trying to clarify what's going on. So I think, yeah, you're very willing to help us with all of our confusions.
Great. And question 3, what about my practice was challenging, and what would you do differently?
What I found challenging, and I know that this is a lot to do with the time constraints, the way that I work best is kind of going through each scene and understanding the motivations and everything, but at the pace of the whole cast. I think actually another thing was that you had the challenge of having extra characters that you had to add in, which I feel made it a little bit more complicated for all of us to understand who was saying what and why and everything. So I think that wasn't a fault of your own, but it was something that was challenging then for the group. So that was out of your control. But I also think that just basically the pace at which we had to learn everything and learning things off of teams or off of things rather than learning it and finding the emotion of our character in rehearsal. Of course, you went through things. Like I know you went through everything, but it was just the pace at which there wasn't much time for us to explore as actors and stuff. It was very much like, oh, we need to get through it, and that was what we had to do because there's so much to cover in your piece. So yeah, I think it was the speed at which we had to do everything, yeah, without having time to dive deeper.